Good morning, everyone. So I understand that we have some persons that just join us. The class leader, please help me to update the WhatsApp group. Please let all of them be added to that. Unfortunately that happened this morning because of our generator. Um, I understand that in the last class we started talking about the website design itself, right? And I explained to us that every website has three main parts or sections, right? What are the sections again? We have the navbar, we have the main body, then we have the footer. And I also explained to us the responsibility of each of these sections. What you as a developer, you are expected to what to program in each of these sections. I said in the navigation bar, you are supposed to create what? Navigation links, the company logo, and integrate social media handles, right? Okay, now what I want to look at, I don't know if the time will still permit me to finish it because my intention is to conclude the navigation bar today. Then on Tuesday, we look at the main body design. And then on Thursday, we look at what? The footer. So let's quickly start. Navigation bar, website navigation bar design. Let's be fast so that we can, I want to see if I can finish everything about the HTML aspect of it, if possible. Nav bar or website navigation bar design. Nav bar, navigation bar, that is website navigation bar design. So the first thing I am going to do, in the last class, I've already given them the definition of what navbar is. So that is why I don't want to go there. For those that are just joining, make sure you update your notes from them. And I understand that there are some of us that have even done some of these things. So you are only here to do revision. Okay, so I am going to start by creating a project folder. That has been the rules or the standard of starting a project. So let's say I am building a website for NIIT Asaba. That is the project. I have to start by creating a folder. I hope you are looking at the screen. Now, the name of the folder, I'll name it NIIT Asaba. NIIT Asaba. So the next thing I'm going to do is to incorporate this folder in my development environment so that I can easily access its resources. Because all the pictures that I will be asked to program in most of the pages, they are expected to be in this folder. So I will have to open this first folder and create other subfolders. Subfolders like image folder for holding all my images. And I know that I am going to work with CSS, right? So I want to also dedicate a folder for saving or holding all my styling codes. Then I am also going to add some actions to some of those contents. So let me save or create a folder for my JavaScript code. So for now, let me go with these three folders. Now, the next thing is for me to install the whole of this folder in my development environment, which is my IDE. So the IDE we are using for this training, like I've said before, is Visual Studio Code. And I told us the reason why is the most preferred IDE. One, it is more user friendly. Two, it is very light. It does not slow down your system speed. Now, how do I install it? Previously, I was working with a folder called what? Or a project called Project 2. Now, I want to bring in the one I just created, NIIT Asaba. So I'll go to File and then go to what? Open Folder. Then target the directory where I created the root folder, which is what? Desktop. And then from here, I'll search for that folder I created, NIIT Asaba. You are not opening it. It's just a click, tap, and then ensure that the name of that folder is displayed here. And then click on what? Select folder. Are you with me? So with this, I just showed us how you can install your project folder in your development environment. So quickly, I know that I'm going to work with, anyway, I'm not working with picture today. The only picture I will work with is the logo. Okay, so let me just continue. And when I get to that aspect, I will go to NIIT website and get their logo into what? That image folder. Now, there is something I explained to us. Why I am starting like this, because I know that we are merging classes. If not, I know that some of you, I wouldn't have been explaining all this. Now, the next thing you are supposed to understand is your file structure. What we call what? File structure. We can also refer to as what? Your file modeling. How is your file modeled? For example, that means the relationship. You must know the relationship between your project's resources. For example, what is the relationship between CSS and what? NIIT what? Asaba as different what? Directory. The relationship is what? Child and parent what? Relationship. How do I know? This is the parent. NIIT Asaba is the what? The parent. Then inside that parent, we have what? How many children? 3. And these children can also bear what? Children. Okay, so I want us to understand that. Now, the next thing is, how do I know which of the directory I am currently in when developing? How do I know? You can see a kind of arrow assigned to each of what? The directory, right? The only arrow that is facing down right now is the parent what? Arrow, which shows that if I create a file here, because I have to create my index what? File. I told us that there are different pages that are involved when developing what? Website. We have the home page, which is always represented with what? Index. You don't come here and say home.html. You use what? Index.html to represent what? Your home page. But when it comes to About Us page, you use the About Us name as well as what? The same name with what? The page name. So I'll start by entering index dots. I told us the meaning of dot, that dot in programming. That dot means period. Period. It means an extension. An extension, the file decoding extension. That's what it means. A format that can be used to read the file you are creating, which also denotes the language in this case. So once I put the dot and I type HTML, that automatically what? Tells the IDE, the Visual Studio Code, that what? This particular file is registered with what? HTML language, not CSS. Now, once you have done that, you will see this angle what? Icon that came up, which means that what? Is the language of tags. T-A what? G-S is the language of what? Tags. Are you with me? And what did I told us tags are used for? Tags are the key. I told us that what? Tags are the keywords that are surrounded by what? Angle what? Brackets. And I also explained that the browser does not make the tag visible to the visitors or the users of the website. So the only thing the browser does is to use the tag as the mechanism or the engine, the background what? Engine, to know how to structure your content, to display the content to the users. That is why we web developer, we can inspect because we know that something is not there. So when we want to see the tag, the browser will allow us to inspect the page. So until you inspect the page, you cannot access what? The tag. Now remember, we talk about the opening section of a tag, the content part of a tag, and the what? The closing what? The tag. And I also established that there are two categories of tags. We have the full tag and the what? The empty what? Tag or self-closing tag. So any HTML tag that does not have the closing section is called what? Self what? Closing tag or empty tag. For example, break, right? Which other one again? IMG. Does IMG have closing section? No. Good. So now once we have done that, how do you acknowledge the file? You click outside. The moment you click outside, it automatically what? Initiates the file. Now you have just created what? HTML file. Now, by default, the HTML file comes empty. But one of the reasons why we choose not to use Notepad as our IDE, one of the reasons why we choose not to use front page. I learned web development with what? Front page. There was nothing called Visual Studio Code. There was nothing called Atom. There was nothing called what? All this modern IDE when I learned it far back 2002. Okay, so we suffered. You guys are enjoying. We suffered. There was no form of assistance. It has its own implication because then we were forced to know it manually. But you now, you are AI generation. So once something is difficult, you don't bother because you have alternative, but then you have no choice. You must find a way to achieve it. So what I'm saying is that those days, I am supposed to do something like this, doc type myself, define the HTML structure myself. And even once I type the keyword, it does not bring anything. There was no library. All these things that are coming up now, they were not there. They were not stored. But there was a challenge. There was a challenge that led to the invention of all this. The challenge is that what? People were not embracing programming. And the domain wanted more people to come in so that they can make more money. The Oyibos there. You know that the number of persons that download this, the developer of this app makes money. Do you know that? They say it's an open source. You go to internet, as you download the data you use, the MTN that gave you the data will submit certain percentage to what? To the owner of this software. There is a way they work together, but you don't know. They remit. That is how it's structured. There is nothing free on the internet. If you see anything free, somebody has sponsored it. So what I'm saying is that we have basic HTML file structure because I told us that HTML is for defining the structure of what? A website. HTML is for creating the content of what? Our web pages. This building that we are now, what defines the structure? The blocks, right? So now I am telling you that you don't need to be the one to start digging the foundation before you start developing websites. If you are using any of these advanced IDE, like Sublime Text, Atom, Microsoft Matrix, or Visual Studio Code, they have already programmed simple HTML file structure that you can just call out and what? Begin to expand it. So that is the next thing I want to do. So I'll just type HT. Once I type HT, it brings out what? These three options. Which one are we using? HTML5 is the latest. So once I click, this is the file structure. So instead of me writing all this code by myself, I have inherited what? This structure. It is now left for me to start what? Expanding it. Sir, I don't want to use this method. Which other two ways I can get that structure? Just type
Shift and 1. If you hold down Shift button on your keyboard and press letter 1, you will see these two icons. So if you click on this one, this first exclamation, you will get the structure as well. Sir, if I don't know this, which other way I can do it? Just type DOC and press enter. Okay? So these are different ways you can what? Call out what? The already made what? HTML5 structure. Now, then the first thing I am going to do is to change my document title. Control plus to increase it. I believe you can see it better now.
Yes, sir.
Control plus is to what? Zoom in your code, right? Yes, and then control minus is what? To shrink it. So in case you are not seeing it, so I'm zooming because of those at the back. So the first thing you are expected to do, because this is a real project. This is a real project. And we are building this website with the assumption that we'll be paid 600,000. So just imagine that you are going to pay me 600,000. I don't think you take nonsense from me, right? So I'm going to be designing with that fear that I must make sure that the color, the combination, the structure, everything is okay. So that is how you work. Now, the first thing is, how do I check my front end while I am developing what? Locally. Because there is a local testing engine. There must be a technology that helps you to run the code while you are still coding locally, depending on when you are going to host and upload everything in what? A server for everybody to access anywhere, so long they have access to what? Internet. Because it will be wrong for you to assume that everything is okay, just to find out after you have uploaded that so many things are not okay. You know, it's going to be stressful you going back. So the advice is that as you are developing, be checking how it's going to be displayed to what? To the users while you are developing. So how do I check? That is why we install an extension called what? Live Server, right? So I will just right click on my HTML code, then scroll down to where I have what? Open what? With Live Server. So now I want to check the front end. So as I continue with my development, when I update the page, I will also check the front end, how the content is also what? Updating in the page. So now, let's hold on. So while I'm waiting for it to open, okay, now it has opened. Now I want us to check here. What do you have here? Document. Why are you seeing this document? Because you have not updated your title. That is what is responsible. What is title? Title is what describes the HTML document on the browser. When somebody gets to this website, how do you give the person an impression of where he is for you to know the location? The only way I will know that if I'm traveling from Lagos to Asaba, the only way I will know that I have stepped into Asaba is when I start seeing the word, the environment, right? So, but if I ask you now, is there any way this is showing that someone is in NIIT website document? No. So it is wrong when you are handling live project for you to leave it there. So I will change it. That's the first thing I will do. I will remove it and type what? NIIT. Then if I go back now, you see that what is now updated. So if you type www.nit.com, once the browser starts rolling and you see, the moment you see NIT, that gives you a kind of rest of mind that, I am about what? Seeing what? Content from what? NIT. That is the message that title passes. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to use comments to explain what I'm about to do. How do we activate comment? Control plus what? Forward what? Slash. So what are we doing right now? Designing, right? Okay, let me just say what? Designing HTML nav bar. The reason why I said HTML navbar, because this is not the only navbar we are going to design. We're going to design at least 3 different navbars. But I'm starting from what? The basic. And the way it works is that when I do one, if you come back here on Tuesday and you have not done this, you have just created room for me to rest. I'm even looking for space to rest. Leader, understand that. So now, the first thing I'm going to do is to define the structure of my navbar. Ordinarily, you're supposed to have drafted it. I gave us an assignment, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. You're supposed to have drafted your user interface. How will the navbar look like? You must have sketched that, okay, this navbar, 3 links will be here, maybe home, about, service. And then after that, I will have maybe a search box. After the search box, maybe I will have the social media what, integration what, icon. So everything will have a sketch. But in this case now, let me just do with the one I have in my memory. Now, there are questions you have to be asking yourself. And you have to be asking those questions. Number 1, is it a vertical navbar do I want to create, or what? A horizontal navbar. You ask yourself, okay, on this page, if I am to have a horizontal navbar structure, let's say like this, or I'm to have a vertical navbar like this, which one do you think will be more professional? Horizontal, right? That is one question. Now, you now ask yourself, how does my own website look unique from others? Because if I don't know about you, if you have visited most of the websites I have visited, 90% of them uses what? Horizontal what? Navbar. On laptop, on mobile, everything collapsed to what? Hamburger. How many of us know what is called hamburger? Hamburger is if somebody log into this website with a laptop device, my home will display like this. About us, we follow. Service, we follow. Maybe gallery page, we follow. But if this same website is open on a mobile phone, you will not see them line up like this. You will just see 3 lines like this. Something like this. How many of us have seen that? So on mobile, it will display vertical bar. And anytime you see these 3 lines, which is called hamburger, your navbar will be displayed what? Vertically. So when you tap on it, this link will not display what? Horizontally. They will display what? Vertically. So which means that what? That's what we call what? Responsiveness of a website, which I am going to capture. What is website responsiveness? Or when they say website is responsive, a website that is responsive is a website that can adjust to the size of what? All devices. Am I communicating?
Yes, sir.
I expect to note that responsiveness. What is website what? Responsiveness. I said is the ability of the website to adapt or adjust to the size of different devices. And still maintain proper display of the content. Not that it will contrast and then the content will be disorganized. No, everything will still be in shape. Did you get that? To come again? I said what? Website responsiveness is the ability of the website to adapt or adjust to what? Different what? Devices. Such as laptop, mobile what? Devices, and tablets. These are the 3 key devices we have in the world. If your device size is not within laptop, is within what? Mobile phone or what? Tablet. That is the reason why Bootstrap is part of your program. Most of you, they didn't tell you, but it's a bonus. Bootstrap is where we are going to implement all devices in the world responsiveness. But manually, I'll be showing us how you can do for what? Mobile and what? Laptop. Now, I believe that point is clear, right? Okay. Now, based on that calculation of the structure, we are starting with basic. So for that reason, we are designing what? We are designing horizontal what? Navbar on laptop and what? Vertical navbar on what? On mobile. Now, in CSS, not in CSS only, actually, I must have used the word that every HTML element is a box model. Box model. All HTML elements are what? Box model. Do you know what it means? What we are saying is this, sir. When you type H1, always know that it's enveloped in what? A box, whether you are seeing it or not. Do anybody want to argue that? No, sir. All these are boxes. So if I want to model my HTML, I will say this first box is the what? The HTML tag. Are you with me? Then inside the HTML tag, there is another box that is not covering the entire space, which is what? Your head tag. Can you see it now? This is it now, right? Then inside the same HTML tag, there is another box called body, right? Inside body, that is where you have your heading tag, image tag. So you can see I just what? Model. I just give you the picture that what you are seeing here, they are what? Boxes, boxes, boxes. Now, with that understanding, now you now know what I want to do. It means that there must be a container that will hold what? The links. The social media what? Handle, right? So I will start by creating the container. Then we have to talk about what? Container elements or container tags, which are advanced, which I did not touch when I was, HTML basics. I told you that what? There are still tags that we are yet to learn, but I am going to be bringing them as we are working. So I am bringing div now. Div is a container. Hope you know that. Section is a container. Header is a container. Main is a container. Footer is a container. So, but most developers use what? Div. That's why we are hearing div. It's not as if it's only div that can give us a container. So I will start by typing what? Div. How do I acknowledge there is a container? I will expand it to show that, oh, I want to create things what? Inside. Now, I understand that in the course of my design, I may use another div to create different content. I don't want fight. I don't want blow. To separate the fight, I will introduce what? Element selection method, either by ID or what? With class name, right? I will quickly class this what? Div. Now, please, when you are classing your element, there should be a mindset. Any element you are classing should carry a name that describes the purpose. What do you what are you using it for? Should drive the name. This is navbar what? Container, right? So I will simply say, I will call this what? Navbar. I can say what? Navbar. That does not mean that you cannot use another name. I can use Prosper. Okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to go down and create another word tag inside this div. And that tag I want to create is for holding my logo. And the logo can be image logo or text what? Logo. So I am going to work with what? Text logo today, as in this particular version, because the next navbar, I will use what? Logo. And even if I don't want to use logo now, you can use logo with the same structure. So I will type what? H1. Now this H1, I will class it logo. Just now, the reason why I use H1 instead of what? IMG, because I am dealing with what? Text logo. But if you want to work with what? Image logo, what would that H1 be replaced with? Good. Now, the logo is what? NIIT. That's the logo. And this NIIT, I want the T to have different color from what? NII. So I'll bring in a concept. The concept here is that I will introduce what we call a span tag. Span tag. That span tag is used as overflow, like what? Extension of one of the main elements. So I will bring the span tag here. I will just say span. This span. Then I will take the T away from where it is and bring it as the content of what? The span tag. I'll put the T there. Okay, let me put it like this. You will see the reason. The reason why I am creating this structure, because I am picturing what I'm going to be doing in CSS. Because in CSS, if I say H1, I say color red, it will color what? NI, everything, right? Now, but in CSS, I'll say H1 space what? Span. That is what? Only the content in the span tag that I'm talking to. So I will not be able to talk to only the T then. That is why I put them into what? Different word tag. Did you understand that logic? Because anything you are doing in your HTML, please always picture how you are going to work with the CSS. So make sure you have a structure that will help you. There's a way you can make your structure very complicated, and then when you get to CSS, you start suffering. So now that is settled. So if I want the double I to have different color, what will I do? I will create another span, right? Then you will now be classing the span whenever I want to talk towards each of them. Good. Now let's go down. Let's go down here. So the next thing I want to create is listing tag. HTML what? Listing tag. UL and what? OL and def. Can you see it now? Do you know why I want to use listing tag? Because those links home, they are going to be clickable text, and you are listing them. That's the reason why you are learning all those things, because what we are not applying now, Mr. Prosper will not define what is what? UL again. You only see me what? Using it. So I will type UL. I don't want number. I don't want them to be marked what? Number H1, home, number 1. About us, number 2. I'm not interested in the marker. In fact, I will silence what? The marker. So I will hit enter. It's a container, right? Then I will open it. Then I will now create LI, right? LI. Now, because they are going to be clickable text, I will next a tag inside the LI. Are you getting the logic now? Then the href is the targeted page. The index page is what? Index.what? HTML. That is why when they click on this home, it should not go anywhere. It should remain in that what? Index. Now, it must display content for them to see, which is what? Home. Professionally, we don't advocate for using capital letter for your link. Sometimes it does not make it look professional. The best practice is what? Sentence case. That is what? Only the first letter. All right? Now, if I go back to the front end now, you can see that what? I have created what? A link. So if I click now, it's going nowhere. Now, just for you to know that we are actually creating all this in a box. Let's create CSS file, right? So that in case we want to be doing some styling, because I want to activate borderline for what? This div, so that we know that what we are in a box. So how do we do that? We go to CSS file, and then I'll create what? A file, and name it what? Index.what? What? CSS. That is what? The CSS code here are dedicated for styling only the elements in what? When I get to a Bartos page, I will go and create what? For a Bartos. Now, this is also external what? CSS, right? Therefore, the two pages must be visible. So you have to link this file to this. So how do you link it? You go back to the HTML file, enter the word, the head section, type what? Link, right? And then the href, reference the page, go to CSS, then select what? The name of the file. So that if I come here, I want to style this particular element now. I am styling what? The div with the class name what? What's the class name of that div? The class name is what? Navbar, right? Now, you know that when you are styling, comment first, comment, styling, HTML, element with what? Class name, nav. You can just put dot so that you remind yourself, right? Dot what? Navbar. Dot navbar. Enter. Now, if you want to select HTML element with a class name, remember that you start with what? Dot, followed by what? The name, nav what? Bar. And then you declare your CSS block. Then I will say border, because what I want to see is the border. Border, the thickness should be what? 1 ps. The line type should be what? Solid. And the color, so that I can see it, should be what? Let's just give it red so that everybody can see it. So if I go back to the front end now, you can see that what? Truly, all objects are what? Box, are in a box. They are called box model, right? Only that the borderline is not always activated by default. So whenever you want to see it, you write that code. Border, the thickness, the line type. So if I want dotted line, for the sake of some of us that are yet to get to this place, you type in the place of solid, you say what? Dotted. So if I write dotted and I go back there now, you see that what? I have changed what? The line type. So if I don't want dotted, just for us to know other line you can use, I can say what? Offset. Offset is a type of line. If I go there, you see that what? It look like what? Let's increase the thickness so that we can see it very well. Let me give it, let's say what? 20. Are you seeing it now? Now, if I change it to inset, we have inset, and then I go back. What's the difference? It's actually changing. The color from here, this area, is different from what? This section. I'm seeing this clearly here on my laptop. I don't know how. Okay. So it's just for us to know that outside solid, there are other words, line type. But when we are doing the basic, we won't touch most of this because you still learn them during the main project. Now, temporarily, I don't need this. I only activated it so that we know that what? Everything we are creating, they are in a what? In a box. So if I comment it out and go back, so we have that in our mind. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to go back to my structure and create other tag. So I'll simply copy this very first one, right click on it, select what? Copy, right? While you are still inside the UL, right? You paste, enter, you paste, enter, you paste. Then you now go and start changing. This one is about.html. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Then the description must also what? Change. About us. Then here, this one is what? Contacts, right? Contacts. Then the description must also change to what? Contacts. Contact. Then the next one is the next one should be service, right? Now, okay, this is actually a school website. So let's say what? Program. Please, your link should not be capital letter, but the description can be what? Capital letter. Did you understand what I just said now? Here can be capital letter, but the link name should not be what? Capital letter. So here, program. I'm using sentence case. There is a mistake there, Abby. Okay, thank you very much. So I am adding additional one, which is to showcase my work, right? We call that what? Gallery, all the work I've done. If it's a portfolio website. Yes, so here should be what? Gallery. Yes, how many do we have here now? 5. Every other one I'll put what? More. But the next nav bar I am going to teach us is the one that will carry what? Drop down. This one, there's no what? Drop down. We will be going gradually. Good. So now let's go to the front end and check what we have gotten. Fine. So now I want to do the styling of this quickly since it's a logo. So now what I'm going to do is to go back to my CSS and use comments to also establish what I'm about to do. Styling what? Styling logo. Logo tests. So that logo, the H1 was the class logo, right? So if I want to talk to the NII first, right? So I will say what? Dot what? Dot logo. Dot logo. Hope we are following the new students. Are we following? Okay. So the new student, I'll give you the video. Only the new students. I'll give you the video so I can go and stay with it. Now, the next one is, well, the old student wants. I can give them, make maybe like say, I want to do it here because they already processing it. Okay, leader, follow me also. I will just drop it in the group. Okay. So now, but make sure that when you watch on YouTube, say like, just like it. Make sure you like it. It's very important too. If I see that at least by tomorrow, I want to see how many like. If not, I will stop giving video. I will check. I will see how many like. You know, YouTube will tell me now. I will see it. Okay, thank you very much. So now, let's start with color. Let's start with color. Now, I talked about color the other time. That when you are designing, you need to have asked the customer, sir, please write 3 colors that you like most. Don't tell him to give you the order. Tell him to write 3 colors. Let's assume that he writes red. He starts with red. What does that tell you? Good, followed by blue. The second one is what? So, which means that when you are coding, use more of red. But if the 3 or 4 colors that he outlined, they can fight each other, you can go back and educate him. If not, if you go ahead and use those colors and you do not come out with something good, it's the same person that will tell other people that what you are an amateur. So what you do is that, sir, in a polite way, don't command the person. You know you need the money. Please don't command the person. Sir must be in your mouth. Ma must be in your mouth. Sir, please, as an expert, it's just an opinion. You don't dictate. It's an opinion. These 2 colors will not go. This one will not really mean sense. Because when we build website, we consider what? User experience. And that user experience is what will drive traffic. It's what will bring people to that website. And it is what Google will also use to rank the website, which is called what? Google what? SEO. Once you hear that, it will bring customer. Once you hear that, it will bring customer. Even though you want to argue before, you will not argue again. So please, can you suggest, I'm okay with the red, but the other two color, can you give me another one? Or can you allow me, as a freshman now, to add other two color the way it will work? We say yes, fine. Because if you don't ask these questions, you can finish the whole project. After uploading, they will tell you that, no. Some people hate red. What do you mean? I don't like red in my life. I don't like red. And meanwhile, you are trying to have a good user interface. You now use red. My brother, you go and bring down the whole website again and start going to your CSS, start editing. So that is the reason why I always ask this question to get the right information. So in this case now, NIIT colors, we all know NIIT color. If you check out their printer, you see red. You see what? Blue, right? You see yellow. So I will work with red and what? Blue. Of course, white and black, they are not counted. They are default colors. So if somebody give you red, you can mix it up with what? White. It's not an offense. With black. So even if I'm working with blue and what? Blue and red, I can use white. I can use what? Black. No problem. Okay. So now the logo, I want the logo to carry the two key color, which are what? Light blue and what? Red. These are our what? Key two color. So now I will say, okay, this one, let me start with red. So if I go to the front end now, all of them are taking the what? Why? Because the span tag is also a child of the H1 that you class logo. Now, there was an illustration that I gave the other time, which I said is not our portion. If someone could not build one house for himself, but his father built one, automatically, if somebody asks him, where is your house? Where will you point to? So that's what happened. All of them claim that we are all entitled to H1. That's what happened. Until span tag will now say, no, me as a child, I have my own house. That's what I want to speak now. So I will now do something like this in my CSS. I will now come here and do something like this. Styling only. The what? The span tag. So I will now adopt CSS combinator. That is what? Using parent to access what? Child method. So I will say what? I will say H1. I will not use logo. I can use that logo also. I can use the class name. I can use what? The tag name. Because even if I have other H1, in as much what follow will be what? Span. Are you getting it now? So if I do something like this, it means that you are not actually talking to H1. You are talking to what? The span. But you are using the parent to access the child. So we are saying that, well, even if I create other span tag, only the span in H1, they are the only one you have to talk to. That's the meaning of that communication. So I'll come here, I'll say, okay, color, I'll pick this first, and then I need light blue, but I cannot see it. And let's say I don't know how to type, I don't know the name light blue, I don't know the color, I don't know the name, but I know the color I want. So I will just take one first and proceed. And then I will now come back and hover on it and what? Pick it from here. And then as you are picking it here, you are already switching to what? ROGBA method. Those of you at the back, hope you are not distracting yourself. So now, let's go back to the website now. What do you see now? Can you see it?
Yes, it is.
Good. Now, I want all of them to be what? Capital letter. So I will use the general name. Since all of them, I will use the parent. There's no point of me going to what? Span, because all are entitled to it, right? Exactly. Then class it. Once you have two span in that H1, that means you start classing. You can no longer say H1 space or span again, because both of them are inside. Yeah, the HTML now, look at it here. Now, let's go back there. This is what we are saying, sir. What we are saying is this now. I mean, So let's say I want to color only this. I mean?
Yes, you want to span the N and the T because we span only T.
Yes.
So does it mean you have to say span T?
Yeah. Yes, now the same thing. We are with you. That is it. Then, but what we are saying is that if you span I again, right? It means that you now start classing the span. Did you get it? Good. Now I can talk to all of them using logo, class name, right? So this is where I will put what? What will I put there? Test what? What is the CSS property? Test transform now, right? Upper case. Upper case. So if I go back to the front end, and I have it like this is how I want it. So we are going for, in fact, this is where I stop. Classwork, everybody should get here before leaving. Classwork, everybody. CSS is the next class, please, because of time. Next class, I will style it. I will make it. All this will be arranged horizontally.
So must all of us be doing it?
No. It's not compulsory. Choose your own. But give me something like this. But if you want to promote us, God bless you.